The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Today we'll be going over LINKPlanner, so I'm excited to hear specifically what we have. Today we have Rachel speaking for us. She's our staff engineer who handles a lot of our LINKPlanner applications. So if you have any questions, please throughout the webinar, post them onto our questions box, and we will address them. So without further ado, Rachel, it's over to you.
Thank you, Andrew. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining this LINKPlanner webinar. This time we're going to focus on the new features since our last webinar back at the beginning of January. If you want to get a general overview of how to use LINKPlanner, that webinar is still available on the Cambium community forum. It's called Planning Networks with LINKPlanner. So if you want to just learn a bit more about how to start from scratch with LINKPlanner, that's the place to go. So today we're going to look at just a quick overview on the products, what we've been doing on performance improvements, some sort of more general LINKPlanner features we've been adding, and then we're going to also look more specifically at some PMP features where we've been doing some work. So here's a quick review of all the products we support in LINKPlanner. We've added in the 900 meg to the 450 family portfolio, and also an indoor option to the 820, which is now also called the 820i. We've still got products in there for 250, 300, 500, 600, although they are getting discontinued from sale. We keep them in LINKPlanner. If you've already got projects that are using them, you don't have to worry that they're going to disappear and you won't be able to add to your networks. They'll remain. So a little bit more detail on some of the products. Although we haven't added many new products, we're continuing to add countries, bandwidths, different bands to various of our product portfolios, so they keep expanding, so it's always worth keeping up to date with the latest version. And then I'm going to look at the CM Pilot and the 820i in a little bit more detail on the next few slides. So CM Pilot is our family of Wi-Fi products. We don't support them for detailed planning in LINKPlanner, as they're mostly indoor deployments, but we have added them to the BOM estimator side of LINKPlanner so that it will help guide you through product selection and enable you to create a BOM with a combination of Wi-Fi and our other products. So select the BOM estimator under the project configuration and then select the Wi-Fi estimates tab. I mean, it runs very similar to the PTP and PMP estimates as well once you get into doing the individual configurations. If you select a new configuration, you can choose through the options and it will guide you what combinations fit for those selections you've made. The bill of materials and the individual configuration is just for that one radio. Once you've selected that one, you can then change the quantities. So you've got a quantity tab up here where you can set the quantities for each of your different configurations. And then the BOM estimate for all of your Wi-Fi equipment is combined at the bottom. And this you can also export this out to the Excel workbook, where there'll be a separate section in there for Wi-Fi as well as the PTP and PMP. On the PTP 820i, this is an all-indoor system and it's built on the PTP 820G modem, so you'll see a lot of the same functionalities and features that are all available for the other PTP 820G products. We then combine that with an RFU-A radio, which is an indoor rack-mounted radio, which is sort of similar concept to the iRFU that we have on PTP 800 and 810. So we're only supporting this at the moment in the FCC and Canadian regulations with the ANSI product in these frequency bands. Note that the 7 GHz option is the FCC frequency range of 7 gigs with a 25 meg bandwidth rather than the 7 gigahertz band. This 7 gigs band overlaps the top of the 6 gigahertz frequency band, so it will use all the 6 gigahertz parts. So even though you might have selected 7 gigahertz, don't be worried when you see parts that say they're 6 gigahertz in the BOM. If you've previously been planning networks using 800i or 810i, then the process is pretty much the same. You've got the more detailed feeder loss window, and like the 800i, these indoor radios are a bit more complicated when we get down to the BOM, as there's a lot more parts required to connect the radio to the antennas. Some of these are length specific, so please make sure that you get the antenna heights correct, and in this detailed feeder losses window you can specify the distance from the tower to the shack, and inside the shack, as the waveguides come cut to order, then you want to make sure you get those ranges correct. For 2+0 copolar, the branching draw is very frequency specific. It's tailored to each of the individual pairs of frequencies that you select. So please don't order until you actually know which frequencies you're going to use. For the other configurations, the branching draw is still sort of frequency specific, but it's much more similar to the way the subbands work on the other P2P 820 radios. So if you know what subband you're going to be in, then it might be a little bit easier to order earlier, but you still might need to make sure that you've got your coordination in and they're going to give you frequencies in those bands, so a bit like ordering an RFUC. In the RFUA also allows you an option to do spatial diversity, but there's actually two different antenna configurations you can use for this, which is slightly different from any of our other products. So we have a split end option, and in this one each RFUA connects to its own antenna, which is very similar to what happens with an RFUC at the moment. This reduces the losses, but it does mean that when the hot standby kicks in on the 1+1, the secondary radio will transmit through the diverse antenna, so you need to be sure about your regulation compliance for those antennas. The standard method is very similar to how the 800i works in the IRFU, where the transmitter from both the main and the diverse radios are routed up to the main antenna. This means that the diverse antennas receive only, and you've got more freedom to choose what type of antenna you use, but it does incur some additional loss for the switch system. Now we move on to look at some performance enhancements. The path profile system was originally developed for P2P links, where typically each link is created individually. However, we are seeing an increase in numbers of people using a CSV file import for all their P2P links, and obviously on PMP it's typical to attach multiple subscribers to an AP at one time. So as a result of that, we've now made a change where we batch the requests so that they're sent in chunks of up to 200 profile requests at one go back to the server. This does mean that if you're following the progress in detail, where the little wheel goes round on the bottom right hand corner of LINKPlanner, you'll no longer see each individual profile request come back. But on the positive side of that, project, for example, with 360 links was taking over 20 minutes to populate all the profiles, which we understood was quite a long time to be waiting. And we've now reduced this to less than 25 seconds, so we're quite pleased that that's made quite a significant improvement. We're also trying to improve the general usability of LINKPlanner, especially with larger project sizes. We want to make it quicker to open the projects and also easier to make changes to individual items. So there's been quite a lot going on that side of it, and we have more changes still to come, so watch out for future releases. If you're working on large projects and there are specific things that you're finding hard to do or slow to do, then please do let us know at the usual LINKPlanner email address. You can find this on the home page of LINKPlanner or in the user guide. And we'll look at some more features that are more either generic or specific to PTP. In the options menus, we've had a way to set up on the bill of materials to select default power leads for some time or kits, but previously you had to do it for each different product. So we've changed this around a bit so that you can now just make one set of selections that will apply to all products, and you can order the selections and rank them by using the arrows on the right hand side to move the options up and down. In this particular example, I've selected a UK specific power lead to be my preferred choice, but if I have a mix of products in my network and not all of them actually support a UK power lead, then it will give me a EU option as the backup for anything that doesn't support UK. So we're hoping that you'll find this easier to manage, and it will also automatically update for as new products are added or anything is changed. So we've also added a new functionality which is available from the menu bar under the project menu that allows you to look up parts. If you know a part number but you don't know what it is, you can enter the part number and it will show you the description. If you are looking for a part number, then you can enter any part of a description and it will start to match the options as soon as you've entered 3 characters. So you don't have to be precise on what the description is, and the more you enter, the more it will refine that list on the right hand side. But please do note that not all parts in this list are actually selectable within LINKPlanner, and they may not be available in your area. So if you find a part in there that you'd like to use, but it's not coming up in a LINKPlanner created BOM, then please do check with your local sales guys before ordering the parts. This item is a lot more PTP specific, but we've been having quite a lot of people ask us about providing more information to help guide them on planning high availability links. So we've added some extra information into the info icon on license band links. The same information is also available as a column heading in the PTP links view to help you understand more about the impact of earth curvature. I'm not going to go into the physics of earth curvature at the moment, other than to say it does vary over time and it depends on environmental conditions relating to air pressure, temperature, water vapor density. By default, we use a K factor of 4/3. But when the K factor drops, the earth bulges, and that means that the link comes, what was a line of sight link, the earth now actually extends up into that Fresnel zone. And it can be more of a problem, especially on longer links. It's often referred to as worst earth curvature. In LINKPlanner, we give an indication of the impact of this change by the grey line on the profile. The change in the K factors taken from ITUR P530 standard as shown in Figure 2 in that document. In the whole processes for designing links, before you get to availability, the processes in the standards assume that you have set the antenna heights correctly to clear worst earth. So when it comes to actually doing the availability calculations, they assume that this clearance is there, and they won't take into account any excess path loss from the change in earth curvature. So you've got to be a little bit careful about how you read the availability figures if you haven't ensured you've cleared worst earth. Now, that's why when it looks like you're designing a line of sight link, we've added this warning just to guide you and make you, provide a little bit extra information to make you think about whether or not you've got the antenna heights right. How important this is to you depends on what type of link you're designing and what availability you're looking for. The worst earth curvature is a value that shouldn't be exceeded for 99.9% of the time. This is in the worst month for a given set of atmospheric conditions. But that means if you're designing links for 4 or 5 nines, i.e. 99.99% or better, then if you haven't cleared the earth curvature, any availability calculations above 99.9% can't be guaranteed. This example shows the impact on the availability of adding the extra 9 dBs. So in the bottom, the lower right link summary is a link is for the same link but with 9 dBs less gain margin. We can see that if you were looking for a 5 nines link, you're no longer going to meet that during those periods where the earth curvature is incurring some excess loss. What we have to remember is that although it's guaranteed to be not more than 9 dB for 0.1% of the time, there's no real data about how long it will be between, how much time it's going to spend between line of sight and 9 dB. So it's a constantly changing pattern, and you've got to make that decision based on your link and what you're looking for, and as to how much excess path loss you can tolerate. So we're now going to move on to the new PMP features we've been putting in, and these cover a number of different features. So we've had in the ability to do PTP link formatting for some time, and then we added in the ability to add some formatting rules to PMP links, and we've recently extended this to include the access points. This makes it easier to hide whole APs which have not, if you're designing a network and deploying it in phases, then you could switch on and off different phases, or you could show different layers of the network if you've got different frequency bands. The rule definition works the same as for PTP and PMP links, so once you actually start setting up a rules, they look pretty much the same, and you can define all the parameters that you can select at the AP level, such as color codes or channel plans, in addition to the usual parameters such as band or AP name. If you choose to hide the AP on the map views, then you'll also get the option to hide all the PMP links associated to that AP as well, which makes it very quick to switch on and off sectors on the map. But please do note that if you've applied a channel plan and you're using AP formatting rules, then the rules colors will take precedence over the channel plan colors on the map views. So you need to remember what you've got applied when you're looking at the map view. It can be quite easy to forget that you've got a formatting rule running in the background somewhere, and then wonder why you've got some different colors and the channel plan doesn't seem to be showing through properly. Normally in LINKPlanner, we try to provide the same functions that are available in the product with the same limitations that the product have. However, as we've seen customers trying to plan dense networks, especially with very small cell ranges, we've realized that applying the product limits in this case was making it very hard for users to actually design the network. So one of the things we've done now is we've changed the function of the max range capability, so that what's configured by the user is now the SM range and is not limited by the product limits, and which means that you can always configure it in either kilometers or miles regardless of the product, and we've increased the resolution to 1 decimal place, so you can design networks now from a minimum cell radius of 100 meters up to the maximum of the product. LINKPlanner will use this SM range to define the sector sizes as shown on the map, and also the range at which SMs can be connected to each AP. Just for clarity, we have still shown the max range under the SM range on this when you're actually setting the range. This is the value that you'll actually need to use within the product, and for some products it can only be set in miles, especially on the 450 range at the moment. And we also use this value within LINKPlanner for the capacity calculations, which are determined by the max range, not this new SM range. There's a couple of things to be aware of. When you actually deploy the network, the product will still work to that max range function, so SMs will be able to connect all the way out to the max range, not limited by the SM range that you've designed to. And therefore you'll need to make sure that you use AP color codes or channel restrictions to ensure that the SMs are connecting to the required APs if you have a very dense overlapping network with the max range distance. As this has actually been quite a significant change to this function, if you try and open a project that you've already saved in this current version of 4.3.11 or any future versions that come out, if you then try and open that project in an earlier version of LINKPlanner before 4.3.11, the earlier version won't recognize this new SM range function, and therefore it will revert to the default value of max range, which is 2 miles. So if you pass projects from one person to another and you're utilizing this and you're using this new function, then you need to be careful when a project gets passed back to an old version. That is going to be something that may catch you out. So the next feature we're going to look at is about being able, once you've configured a network and you've attached all your SMs, then sometimes there's reasons during the planning or the deployment phases where you may actually want to change which SM and AP is connected to. And what you don't really want to have to do is to delete that SM and then reattach it, because you lose all the settings that you've put into there. So we've added a capability in here where you can change the access point and effectively rehome an SM from one AP to another. Like quite a lot of functions in LINKPlanner, this can either be done from the navigation tree or from the map view. You need to be aware that the SM will try to maintain as many settings as possible, such as antenna type, etc. But if the AP is either a different product or is on a different frequency band, those settings may not be available on that new AP, and at that point the SM will have to change the parameters to the default settings for the new AP. So if you're changing between APs that are all on the same band and the same product, then you shouldn't have any problems at all. If you are moving SMs from one product to another or one band to another, you may need to double check that the SM configuration is still as you intended it to be. So when you select the option to change the access points, you get a list of other access points that are available. This list will only show one access points where the SM is within the SM range and it's within the bearing, so that it can be covered by that access point. Unfortunately, you need to note that we do have a bug in the current version, which means that if you're changing between an SM between two APs on the same hub, then you will lose the obstructions, any obstructions that have been added at the moment. This has been fixed in v4.3.12, which is going to be released tomorrow. In this new release coming out tomorrow, we're also adding an extension to this feature which will allow you to select multiple SMs from the PMP links table view or the links to subscriber module tables view. So you can use the usual options to select groups of SMs using Control and Shift. But what you need to be aware of is that the list of access points that's shown will only contain access points which can serve all the SMs that you've selected. So you need to be a little bit aware of which SMs you're picking up, because if you get an SM from a different part of the network, there won't be any common access points, and so this list will be empty. This feature could also be useful if you need to change the location of an access point. So you can create the new access point and then move all your existing SMs from the old AP to the new one, and it will maintain as much as it can from the settings that you've already configured on the SMs. I assume at that point that the location of the AP has changed, and so it will need to create a new profiles between the SMs and the new location. So if you have added obstructions on that, then it's likely that they'll be lost. If you have just configured a new AP on the same hub site, then that should maintain all your obstructions. Having created this option to move SMs from one network to another, and as we've started to work with larger projects and see that, you know, subscriber sites are added once you've done your main network design, then you can end up with a new subscriber site and not really actually quite know where and which APs may be best for it to connect to, especially if you've got quite a large network. So another new feature that's coming in the release tomorrow is the ability to select the subscriber site and then create a link from that subscriber site to one of the access points that's within range. So the first way you can do this is to select the subscriber site from the navigation pane. This is it's sort of an easy way to actually see which subscribers aren't connected, as they're the ones that don't have the little plus sign to the left of the name. So it's quite an easy method to do that. But there's also another option where we actually have a new icon on the toolbar, which is the new PMP link from subscriber site icon. And this will bring up a little selection box that's very similar to if you did the new PMP link from access point, but we've reversed the options. So now the subscriber sites are on the left and the access point options are on the right. If you have a long list of subscriber sites, then there's a little search box above the list of subscriber sites, and as we discussed earlier for the part description search, you don't need to know the exact name of the site. As soon as you start typing, it will narrow down the list to any subscriber sites that has that group of characters anywhere within the name. If you want to connect a number of subscriber sites, then once you've selected the site and selected the access point you want to connect to, select the Create Link option. This will create the link but leave this window open so that you can quickly select another subscriber site and continue connecting them. If you're only doing one subscriber site, or when you get to the end of the list, then if you select the OK button, it will create the link and close the window down at the end of the day. One thing to note is that this feature only allows you to connect a subscriber site to new access points. It will show a notification if the subscriber site is already connected to a given AP and the options to create the link are not available. If you want to duplicate links between subscriber sites in the same AP, you will still need to do this using the existing functionality from the AP side. So to just finish up, then Cambium has a presence across social media, and you can keep up to date using any of the methods shown here. Hopefully you're all aware of quite a lot of these already. And through our active Cambium community forum, you can share ideas and keep up to date with what's happening. There's some specific LINKPlanner sections to the forum and the knowledge base which you can follow, and we generally post a little bit more detailed information on new releases, so there's a bit more background information than just what's in the formal release notes. And in the knowledge base you will find articles on many of the LINKPlanner features. If you have ideas on other topics you would like us to cover in the knowledge base, do let us know or post your ideas for future enhancements. Don't forget that we also have the LINKPlanner email address, which is on the front page when you first start LINKPlanner, or is in our LINKPlanner user guide. We do reply to all emails we receive, so we welcome all feedback and get to know how you're using LINKPlanner. And thank you for your time.
Fantastic, Rachel. Thank you so much. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. So far we have no questions, Rachel. Anyone else have any questions? Please feel free to post it in the questions box. No Nothing so far, just a bunch of thank yous, Rachel, so good job.
Thanks very much, everybody, and watch out for the new release coming out later tomorrow.
Fantastic. All right, thank you so much for joining, and Rachel, thank you.
Thank you.